is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 96. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew, EC, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. And E, last time we convened here on the North End Podcast, E was for Eliminated. Mm-hmm. And now, again, just for the audio-only listeners, E is for Enticed. How you feeling after an Austin FC victory, my friend?
Man, I am feeling wonderful. It has been a long time coming to get those 3 points right there. Yes, E is for Enticed. You beat LAFC coming up. E will be for Excited. And you win San Jose. E is for Enter Playoffs. So we get a whole vocab breakdown here, baby. Yeah, what a game. What a night. It was awesome. Shout out to everybody who was there, who has stuck by this club through the very, very thick weeds that we have been in this latter part of the season, came out in support and, helped the boys to victory because we still brought the funk, we still brought the noise and translated out there on the pitch, which is all we care about.
Yeah, you love to see it when all that comes together. And, of course, getting ahead of ourselves. But we can't help but think towards Saturday and what a win could mean just for again, like you said, the excitement of the international break that's coming between Saturday's matchup against LAFC and decision day out in San Jose. But of course, going to recap last night's win over DC United, preview that match coming up on Saturday against LAFC, and little preview of the Western Conference semifinal in MLS Next Pro. Austin FC 2 will be traveling to take on the Tacoma Defiance on Sunday. So we'll talk about all that and more. E, let's start, as we typically do, talking about the lineup. And we did get, we had, sometimes the little tidbits, right? They make their way to guys like Hernan. And then he throws the crumbs out there, like going to be an interesting lineup tonight. And the rumor had kind of gotten out there in the hours leading up to the match that Owen Wolff was going to be playing left back. And, we talked about it at length last episode, that was a head-scratching decision. I felt the same coming into this one. And again, I still think we didn't see Adam Lundqvist on the bench last night, nor was he on the injury report. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there with Adam. Nick Lima was on the bench. Hector Jimenez was on the bench. So I think with Nick, Danny Pereira was also on the bench. I think some of that rotation, these guys have been playing a lot over the last week or two. I guess how did you feel about that defensive alignment when the lineup finally came out? And then, everybody I think was happy to see, at least everybody in their right mind was happy to see number 10 in the lineup wearing the armband, which is just, it's crazy to me just the way we felt about him, thinking he was going to be out for the year, not just a week ago when that injury first took place or 10 days ago, what have you. But even in the morning, I didn't think he was playing yesterday. So after that long-winded and winding take on the lineup here, how did you feel about it?
Look, we have to try some new things. Nothing was working. And if Lundqvist has lost his job to Owen and we're going to run it like that, then it is what it is. And the result last night is nothing that I can argue with. Obviously, we know Owen is versatile. We know that we've tried him all across the pitch. But when 10 is back and you can't play him in that attacking mid kind of position, we found a way to get him on the field. And he made some mistakes. But overall, I thought that he was solid. I was super excited for Will up front. I thought that was awesome, especially given, what G's capacity is right now. And you see the imprint that the Dancing Bear made on the game last night. And it just can't be it can't be understated how much it seemed like he brought like a lot of positive energy. You know, G's a guy who's going to go up there, do his job. He's not going to talk. He's not going to, you know what I mean? He's going to go and do what he does. Mm-hmm. Will has a little fun with it. You know what I mean? He brings a little flavor to it. It's a little fun. I think that it was infectious for the rest of the club. So can't complain with the result. So fuck it. Owen Wolff, left back. Do it. I mean, we had a conversation, you know, and this was, I think, on our ride up to the game. You know, we're all in on Roto. And, you know, I said to you, like, you know, do you think he's given Josh anything, like any sort of tidbits or insights, like just like, here, this is what I see, you know, and like maybe we can run with it. And I mean, if Josh is, you know, not completely out of his mind, then you'd be like, yeah, you know, we haven't won in 2 months and you just won the fucking treble. So I think I should listen here. So I don't know if this is a move that has been discussed between Roto and coach and, you know, something that they thought they could get a little positivity out of, but you know, if it was good, great. Sounds like a good working relationship. This is speculation really, but I'm just more curious as to what type of input Roto has had with Josh and the way we're playing these guys.
Yeah. So a couple of things to unpack there. First, I do want to stick on that Roto question. Because I did kind of, I think it slipped my mind that you and I were discussing that. No traffic going wherever you were. You know, we take the old Evil Mopac up there to Q2. Traffic was bad. I know on 35 as well with you coming down south. But Josh did allude to Rodolfo Borrell in the press conference. And it wasn't specifically addressing the Owen at left back kind of conundrum here for the fans. But he did say, and we'll obviously talk about the presser here in a little bit, but he did say Rodolfo is a great ear in that way and kind of went on to discuss. And again, I think, because again, we try to watch these press conferences every time they're posted. I think this is the first time I remember him actually acknowledging that, like, yeah, Roto's in that room and helping them make decisions, not just personnel wise, but actually like putting these teams together. And, you know, certainly maybe he doesn't have the final call there, but giving his input, as you said. And I agree with what you said as well. Like, yeah, the guys on our bench should be listening to that. Clearly that relationship is blossoming, maybe a strong word, just given the way the team's form has been, but at least it's developing here. And now we're getting confirmation from Josh in what was an interesting press conference last night, acknowledging Rodolfo and him, you know, kind of taking part here. There was so much to this lineup that I didn't even mention Will Bruin up top in my first, you know, kind of rundown there. Agree with everything you said there. Good to see Jassy Artist back on that bench. He does end up coming into this one. Matt Hedges on the bench. CJ was still there. He didn't end up there. And then, as you mentioned, Danny Pereira on the bench. Hindsight's always 20/20, but it's fun to look at the replies here to the lineup tweet with a bunch of angry fans questioning this, questioning that, and then 2 hours later, boom, 3-0 win. So, yeah, I mean, I think to echo what Josh said in the presser at one point, it's good to get a win. Absolutely. It cures everything. You know, it just not everything, but it's for a night. For the night. For the night, we were completely on cloud nine there. You know, look, Danny, I just feel personally, I don't know if other people have noticed this or have looked at this and felt this way about it, but I have felt often that Danny, since the last break after League Cup, has really just been kind of doing his own thing. Like it just the play has not been consistent. Obviously, he's such a wonderful talent. Like he's one of our best players. He's one of the best players in the league at his position. Right. But if you're not working within the unit and you're not playing within that system, and like we said before, these dudes are human. You don't win for 2 months. Why would somebody try to keep trying to do the same thing over and over? It's the definition of insanity. So I can understand him wanting to take more onto his shoulders. And like, what was that? I said also practice. That's just always my response to that. Okay. You know, and he's just in a position where I felt like he
was kind of do his own thing and like really trying to force it and really trying to press it. And we saw Seba doing that earlier, and it just wasn't the best of results. Now, obviously, we need Danny going forward. Like we're going to need a big game out of him coming up. And I don't know if it was partially rest or if I'm the only person who has been seeing this since the break, but I just felt like he's been a little disconnected from the club. And the lineup worked. This wasn't the greatest opponent we faced all year by any stretch of the imagination, but a solid club. And we came out, we put it on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's an interesting take. I don't think I'm right there with you and saying like, and maybe it's just a different choice of words would get it through my head a little bit more. I wouldn't say he's been disconnected from the club, but like, I do think that there hasn't been that same type of synergy with him. I think outside of like half of the LA Galaxy match where we saw him spraying those balls forward and really creating chances. I wonder how much of the red card from late August is still like kind of sitting in our mind, maybe just subconsciously about that. Cause I do agree. Nobody has played their best over the last 2 months.
Of course.
But yeah, I can't sit here and say that he's been the one above everybody else through this stretch.
Yeah, I'm not trying to single him out by any means. And when I said disconnected, I meant more so when we're on the field and like what we're trying to do. So that's where I'm at. And, that could be entirely off.
Sure. Well, it could be a combination of that and the rest. Because again, I mean, the guy, when does he come out? Right?
Exactly.
He needs to get a red to get some rest.
I feel like it's thrown out. He comes out.
Yeah. So, and he does come in later in this match. Let's go ahead and get to this one. Before kickoff, though, the Minister of Culture in the building for the third or fourth time ever. So, Ray Benson also there. So, shout out to Ray there, asleep at the wheel. A Texas treasure there is Ray Benson. Fourth minute here. Austin really dictating the early moments of this match. And Rigoni gets the ball on the left here after a solid Austin build-up. And then he blasts across like 15 feet over everybody. And so not a super important note there, but I remember vividly in the stands, our kind of general area there in 123 was like, is it going to be one of those nights for Emmy? Because we've seen plenty of games that start off with an Emmy, a misplaced pass, a cross that is sailed in that manner. And sometimes, especially earlier in the season, it would seem like maybe his focus would slip. He would start to crumble a little bit in terms of his performance on that night. So I think just on the rewatch, that stuck out to me because I felt like he really found his footing after that and was really solid.
I agree. He looked aggressive. He was looking to get balls into the box. He was looking to put shots on net. I thought he played really well.
And then here, what's that?
I feel like we had like 2 or 3 of these where we like crossed it from the left to the right. It was a bad cross. We get onto it, cross it back over to the left. Yeah. Bad cross, get onto it. All right, let's try to figure it out from here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Austin was really controlling, the first 15 minutes of this one. Like it wasn't completely one-sided. DC got their chances, especially in the second half when Austin was sitting back more. But here in the 11th minute, this was after, I guess, really the first DC chance, which I believe, if I recall correctly, this is where there was an offside call, the shot that DC had taken right from, 10 yards out, center of net, off of a corner, off their first corner of the night. It went just wide and was called offside. On the replay, man, I don't know I forget who had taken that shot. Might have been Williams, one of their center backs. But man, I think they might have scored if he put that one on target. So right after that play off Stuver's goal kick, Austin puts it back into play and sustains this possession for almost 2.5 minutes here. Most of it came in the offensive third. And 4 Owen Wolf throw-ins later on that left side. His fourth long throw finds Leo's head. And he kind of clips it across, into the blender there, into the dangerous area near the penalty spot. That gets cleared out, but only as far as Alex Ring, who's 5-6 yards outside the 18 on the right side of the box there. he heads it down to Seba, and Seba takes a peek up and lofts a ball into Will Bruin, who has kind of altered his run to stay on side behind the line, and the timing here is great. So Will gets the almost immediate chance at redemption after missing the sitter and the header on Saturday night. And this time he doesn't miss, connects with his head, gets it past Bono in net there. And Austin leads. This is Bruin's 12th goal in 18 games against DC. That's pretty wild.
It's awesome. Look, man, the story of the season has been we've looked good when we've come out to start games, and we've played really solid soccer for 15 to 20 minutes, but we just couldn't put one in the back of the net. And on this night, it was building up that same way. I remember sitting there like, shit, man, we look good, but we still have nothing to show for it. And then for Will to make this savvy play, this veteran run, and the reason why he's in the fucking game, because Maxey doesn't make that run. That is not a play that he makes. Like, we know he's not good in the air. That's not what he does. Will times this, curls the run, Seba peeks up, beautiful ball, back of the net, and we're ready to go. And it felt like we were going to, I felt like we were going to hang it on him right after that. Yeah. And we did, really. So, I was super excited, so happy for Will, because I know that he was, broken, devastated after missing that chip shot in Colorado. So I remember you were making your fantasy lineups, and they had him in there for 7,200. I told you to lock him. Guaranteed goal last time.
I remember you saying that 7,200 would be if you added up all of his DraftKings prices from this season.
Yeah. What I say under score? Will Bruin for Speaker of the House, baby.
There you go. I mean, I guess I just second everything you said there. Like he got, again, that's sometimes the good thing about the fast-paced nature of this MLS schedule when it can get squished together at times is when you do have a letdown like that. And of course, it's a little bit different with Austin having 9-10 letdowns in a row coming up to this Wednesday. But him being able to get that opportunity to make good to the fans. We knew he felt bad. Yeah. He went up to the traveling fans reportedly on Saturday. So just awesome to see it. I do remember you vividly. I remember vividly you screaming after this goal, "Oh, we're so back."
Beat LA.
Yeah. 1-0 Austin. And then, man, off the restart, Austin wins possession back. And there was a couple rare counterattacks from Austin here.
Yeah.
This one, Rigoni gets free down the left. Defender's catching up to him. So he cuts it middle. Looks like he's got space for the shot, but then dekes it right back out to his left and blasts a shot that goes just over the bar. And pow, right in the kisser of a fan in 123. And glad they were okay ultimately. And I did want to shout out our buddy Brian, who
the North End Pirates
immediately springs into action, goes to the bar at the top of the stairs, gets not only a cup of water, but I believe he's the one that flagged down, the stadium personnel, get the medics over here and make sure this fan is okay. So I did just want to shout out B there because we know, of course, that he's a mensch.
Yeah, North End Pirates take care of their own.
21st minute here, another sustained period of Austin possession. Owen Wolf changed the field from left to right, finding Finley, who's hugging that sideline. John Gallagher loops around him on the overlap, and Finley pokes it to him, getting in behind that line. John tries to put in a cross that gets blocked, but that falls to the feet of Alex Ring, right on that right side of the area. He crosses it in, and it leaks through everybody. I think this cross was an accurate one, but DC could have definitely done better to get that one out. But it leaks through everything and everyone right to Seba, who's standing all alone in front of net, and Andy Nahar looks awful on this replay. Yeah, awful. I think Birnbaum gave him the business after that, as he should. Because Seba had enough time to whiff it the first time. He tries to tap it in, whiffs, and has enough time to just reset, pick his spot, and nobody's within 3-4 feet of him. And easily beats Bono there. So 2-0 in the 21st minute. And Seba now in 11 goals for the season, which is tied for 14th in the league with guys like Ryan Gauld, Thiago Almada, a lot of these guys with him or above have played a few more matches against Seba. I think 26 appearances on the year through our 32 matches. He had overall throughout the 26 matches he has appeared in, man, he has pretty much lived up to the contract, the role as like the lead producer on the team. Again, it's a different, I think the captaincy is a different conversation. But just in terms of what we expected statistically coming into the year, from a per game basis, he's right where he needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has brought it all season long. He's had his moments, of course. We all do, and every athlete does. But overall, he has shown why he's one of the best players in the league. He has saved us. I mean, what was the stat on how many times he's scored the tying or go-ahead goal? You know, just an absurd amount. So shout out to Seba. I mean, he's been our best player, and like captainship or not, sometimes the best player is the best player, and he's not the captain. Like, it just is what it is. But back to the goal. Terrible defense by DC, just inexcusable. This is shit that our club has done all season on defense. Giving up
like us.
Make us pull our fucking hair out. So totally understand why they are, furious there, because it's putrid defense. And Seba puts it back in the net. You can't let that guy have that type of space. Like, go get it out of the back then.
Yep. So the party was on then. I think your first ever confetti throw. Typically, I just, reach it out of the pocket. You're like, I got to get in on this. Might be the last time all season. So good call by you there.
I do.
Hopefully we're getting rid of the rest of the confetti and having to order some new confetti for a potential wild card match. We'll see. 28th minute here. Christian Benteke, who again was our biggest worry by far coming into this one. He gets played through quickly down the left after an Austin turnover in the midfield. And he takes a touch towards the middle with Julio marking him and star forwards cutting inside on Julio again has been a theme. So I think he could have still done better there to continue forcing him towards that end line. But Benteke beats him to the middle, gets a shot off that forces Stuver to make a nice kick save. And just kind of the first time that Brad was really called upon in a night that he ended up being one of the most active guys on the night by the end of it.
Yeah, he eventually was very much called upon and relied upon in order to get these 3 points here. Great kick save. Benteke had a lot of opportunities last night. And, some nights your best player doesn't finish. And we've been well aware of that. And he had some chances that I bet he probably wants back, but a great save. And we'll take it if it's an off night for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just looks like a monster out there.
He's huge.
Just remember dunking on Ethan Finlay. Like, oh my God.
Well, dude, the one we could see from our perch there in 123. One of these attempts in the first half where he rises up, I think it might be the one right before the half, but like his head is like over the crossbar, at least from our angle. It's just quite a specimen, even in the advanced stage of his career. And
we'll take an off night, bro. Of course.
Absolutely. 32nd minute here. Seba goes down after getting his ankle stepped on a challenge there. Ends up being fine, but man, when he goes down, the first thing you think of is, he tweak that hammy again, and now we're done for real. So luckily, just a kind of a nasty challenge there by the DC player. 36th minute here. Leo finds Will Bruin checking back near midfield, just over into the defensive half. Will taps it to Driussi, and he tries to play Emmy through down the left, and the pass just doesn't quite have enough mustard on it to get Emmy all the way through, because we were almost in with a 3-on-2 there, and that could have very well, maybe not with the way Emmy's finished this season on those types of breaks, but almost another fantastic opportunity there, squandered, cleared out by DC. 2 minutes later, Rigoni does put the third goal into the back of the net, but was offside by a good 2 to 3 yards after that loose ball had bounced to him. 43rd minute here. Some DC pressure here over the period of a couple minutes, and Durkin puts in a nice cross from right to left. And this is where Benteke, like you said, rose up over Finley and luckily put that headed chance over the bar. I mean, we've seen him finish a lot of those this year on, the MLS recap shows, etc. When you get one of those big Christian Benteke games, it's on a play like this where he's just physically dominating some of the other MLS defenders, and poor Ethan Finlay being tasked with guarding him. Not a defender, of course.
Yeah.
We'll take some of that luck on our side for once, right? Like
absolutely. And you look at the momentum chart, and they kind of sandwiched the end of the first half and the start of the second half with some good pressure and some good attacks. So it was nice to get out of there without giving up a goal, particularly when we have this nice little lead here.
Yeah, no question. They did flash a little stat up on the screen there before the half that Austin was 6-0-2 when leading at halftime this season. So now 7-0-2, but only leading 9 times this season at the half. You'd like to see that number come up in 2024, but it does point to now 7-0-2 in the 9 games that we have led at the half, that this team has done well holding on to leads that they've built up early, which is interesting because it doesn't feel like to me like we've been that team that gets the lead and is just solid. So I know we've dropped points near the end of matches. I know we've stolen some points at the end of matches this year, but I found that a little bit eye-opening because I would not have think we were unblemished with no losses after leading at the half this year. But I guess that's what happens when you don't lead at the half a lot.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's just the small sample size there.
Yeah. So coming out of halftime, of course, Austin up 2-0 at the half, feeling great at the Q. Triple sub for DC. Hurtado, Ruan, and Kudi Pietro come on for Fajardo, Durkin, and Andy Nahar, unsurprisingly, there after that second goal.
Yeah.
47th minute here. We talked about Owen at left back, right? And I think up until halftime, there was not a play that I could have pointed to at the wing back against New York or at left back last game or left back to start this one. I don't think there was a point where I could have pointed to, okay, this is like Owen made a real mistake here that either cost us or almost cost us right out of the half here. Awful giveaway in the back on this pass.
So bad.
You're trying to skip it in. You're trying to skip it in the half court against a press across that midline. You just don't. That translates from almost any sport. You just don't do that.
Yeah, it's a flat pass. It's soft. Look, we throughout the course of the season we have gone out of our way to make sure that we point out some positives, even in games where we lose 6-3 to St. Louis. Like, here's something that we can hold on to. Well, in the same light and same same respect as that, you do that versus LAFC, you might as well just go get the ball out of the back of the net.
But did you see on the replay? Did you see Owen basically stopped? I just gave up.
He just conceded oh fuck, I just gave up a goal. Yep. And it hadn't even happened. So no, he compounded it. Not that he could have done anything really to get back there at the point, but you do that versus LAFC, you can go get the ball out of the back of the net and help Stuver out. So it can't happen. The margin of error, we have played it up to the point where there is no more margin for error. And this shit cannot happen. And like I said earlier, they had some looks, and Benteke had some looks. And it's hard when we were checking the scores for the rest of the league. You see Bouanga's got a fucking hat trick at halftime. So you give him those opportunities, Bouanga that is, it's not going to look good for you. So that has to be cleaned up. I know it was one play, but it was absolutely terrible. It's just a play you can't make as a professional player, period.
Yeah. And Benteke is the one that ends up getting the shot here. And shout out to Brad, because this is really where second half is where Brad really had to kick it on here. And it was nice to see because we know that Brad, again, has still been, at worst, above average in this league this year. Had some, just like everybody has, had some shaky moments over this terrible stretch that we had since Leagues Cup. But he was fantastic on this night. 50th minute here, Ethan Finley gets free down the right, and he finds Will Bruin just inside the box. Bruin tries to hold up, kind of a little shimmy shake in there, almost like a little post move. The defender pokes it right away. Like, nah, we're not having that here tonight, old boy. But Ethan is making a run off of Bruin, and so he ends up just running into where that loose ball was poked off Will. He fires a shot in stride, doesn't quite connect fully with it, and it goes just wide, but almost a third goal right there for Ethan.
Sneaky little shot. Definitely wasn't the way we drew it up, but we'll take it. It was cheeky, and he almost snuck it in there. That keeper was not on his game last night either, Bono.
No. I mean, he's their backup, right? Tyler Miller. I don't know if Miller is hurt or what. But yeah, I mean,
Probably because
backup keeper in there.
he plays in the field so much.
Yeah.
Wayne trying to evolve the game. The point center.
Speaking of runes, bro, like he looked defeated last night.
Yeah, things are bad with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be there much longer.
Yeah. 52nd minute here. This was not great to see. Leo Väisänen goes down. Matt Hedges ends up subbing on for him. I think we had actually gone. We had actually second half Southland podcast last night, standing up near the top with the Verde Pendant boys.
Shout out those boys. Had a great time with you. I know that was our first time meeting in person. Meant a lot to me.
For you guys, yeah.
Love you, dudes. All you do. Appreciate you.
So here, heat exhaustion was the prognosis after the game. But on the replay, I saw this.
That was the prognosis?
Did you? Yeah. Well, I mean, the heat index, I think, at kickoff was around 100, I think, because of all that humidity that was in the air last night.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, hopefully just get him an IV, get him some fluids, right, and be ready to go on Saturday. What struck me was on the replay, I don't know if you saw this, he lifts up his shirt to wipe his sweat off his face, and he's got KT tape, like right up the center of his stomach, all the way up to his chest, it looked like. I had never seen KT tape put in that area, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out what that would be doing there. I've never seen that kind of tape going. It was like into his shorts all the way up his chest. It was weird looking.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a breathing thing? Trying to
expand his chest
a little bit?
Could be.
Because you're just pulling with the tape?
Yeah,
I don't know.
No idea, man.
Yeah, that's weird. And then he went right to the locker room. So I was like, fucking heat exhaustion.
I imagine he went back there to get IVs,
just,
whatever.
Yeah.
But, it seemed like after the game, gonna be fine. And lucky that Matt Hedges was ready to go here. 56th minute. Benteke gets free after John Gallagher steps up to try to stop the break on the right, but the DC player was able to pass right around him. Benteke puts it right past Stuver, but John, intentionally or not, had kind of pulled the offside trap there. Benteke is about a foot offside on this one. So again, we'll take a lucky break, and I guess we can call it skill there by Johnny J.
Good fortune. We'll take it.
Yeah. 59th minute, another good save by Stuver after Hurtado had put a really nice shot on target from a tough angle there on the right. Stuver with the glove save to preserve the clean sheet. 62nd minute here. Nick Lima comes in for Will Bruin, which apparently didn't register with me at the time. Moved Rigoni to the 9, Finley to right wing, Owen to left wing, while Lima stayed at left or came in at left back there, which I cannot for the life of me remember a time when he came in at anything on the left ever. Nick Lima and Johnny G was still out there on the right. So I found that very interesting that Nick Lima played left back last night.
I don't know why I feel like there was one game I remember he did that, but even if that is true, it's not a common sight. So that is interesting. And I mean, just another, I mean, what's up with Lundqvist? Is he done? He's not hurt. He's fucking done.
He could be. I don't know. He could have had, it could have been warm-ups. I don't know where he retweaked whatever. Who knows? Yeah. 64th minute here. Owen Wolf gets loose down that left side now that he's playing in that more advanced position. He finds Ethan Finley, who was cutting across the face of goal. That ball ends up being ushered out for an Austin corner kick. Rigoni takes that corner, and that corner finds Matt Hedges' noggin for the third goal. I don't know, 12 yards out. It was pretty surprising to me that one trickled in past Bono.
Yeah.
Like you said, certainly not his best night this year. And man, we shouted out the Verde Pendant boys. I was so excited. I was looking down before the corner, checking on other results around the league. Corner comes in, ball goes in. I see old white man heading it in. I thought it was Will Bruin, who's been off the pitch for 3 minutes. And Paul and Lobar are so nice that they don't stop. I'm sitting there talking about how hyped I was that Will Bruin braced, and we said we could have a big game. And then they announced Matt Hedges, and I was like, oh, you fucking guys. Like, no, none of y'all stopped me. Like, hey, Matt scored. But yeah, man, hey, congrats to Matt. First Austin FC goal for him.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the only way we thought it was going to happen with him just being taller than everybody else on the pitch. We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, we said we liked his size in the box when we got him, and we didn't get a goal out of it. But again, good timing, good positioning, jostling with that dude, gets a little separation, puts it in the back of the net. Keeper's caught flat-footed. Fucking, we'll take it.
66th minute here, DC going right back on the offensive end. Di Pietro jumps on a ball that was pinging around in the box, and he doesn't catch this cleanly either, which allows Stuver to make the save. Again, the bounces fell our way last night.
Yep.
A lot of these could have been more dangerous than they were. 3 minutes later, Di Pietro again, talented young player for this DC side. He finds space again. This time to the right of net, fires another shot. This one goes right at Stuver. A little bit of an easier job there for number one. 71st minute, Austin off on another rare counterattack here last night. It was a nice outlet from Rigoni near DC's penalty area, or I should say our penalty area. Outlet from Rigoni to Gallagher, and he carries it all the way down that right side. Plays a nice cross on the ground. Ethan Finley was right around the top of the box, but Ethan Finley in his peripheral realizes number 10 is also trailing the play here, and Ethan leaves it for Seba to have a crack, and that ended up getting sent up into 20 rows into the south end. But again, the guys were humming offensively last night, and there wasn't a ton that they tried to do on that end after going up by 3.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it was good to see. It was like, oh, we can counterattack.
Yeah, a heady play by Ethan there, and like we said, we got fortunate a few times with Benteke, and I think that they got fortunate here because Seba can do much better with that than what he did.
In a triple Austin sub here in the 73rd minute, you see the return of Giassi Zardes. Danny Pereira comes in, and Memo Rodriguez in for Rigoni, Driussi, and Wolf. They did move to a back 5 here. Alex as the third center back, Lima and Galley as the wing backs, and then you had a Danny and Johan kind of double pivot in front of them. So Memo and Ethan Finley playing those center mids, in that box midfield. 82nd minute here. Yellow card to Mateusz Klich for taking out John Gallagher after he just sauced through like 3 DC guys. And I'm certainly not going to make the case for a red here on Klich, but it was a dirty play. He just totally kicked Johnny in the ankle after he got beat. And it looked to me on the replay, Coach Rios gets up on the bench and he is very demonstrative about something. And I think he was telling Johnny, stay down. Second minute here. He was like, yo, stay down. And then John just pops right back up because he's ready to go. And he turns around like, come on. Luckily, we didn't need to waste much time last night, given the margin. The last really moment of worry here was in the 87th. Austin defending, and Julio goes down to try to slide to a ball, and his knee gets like stuck in the grass and puts a pretty decent divot into the pitch there. He rolls over hurting. Ultimately, it seemed like maybe he was just a little bit more scared of the feeling there because he ends up, trainers come on, check him out. He ends up jogging off the field, which was great to see because for many reasons, we do not want to see number 18 go down at this point of the season, especially if it could have been a long-term thing because you get a serious injury now, you're missing the beginning of next season.
Yeah, the turnaround is quite quick. I want to jump back to the triple subs we had and just say how fucking nice that is. Yeah. What a luxury that is to get Rigoni off the pitch, to get Seba off the pitch, to get Owen off the pitch, dudes who are hogging, dudes who are logging heavy minutes, and for them to get some extra rest is beautiful and a luxury that we have not had at all this season. So that was great to see. Furthermore, Johan, another fantastic effort. This man has been playing out of his mind. His confidence is through the roof. And, he's been a guy these last couple games where it's like, there's Benteke, go get him. Or, you know what I mean? Like, here comes, Ilya Sanchez or whoever, like, go get him. And he's been up for the task. So I'm very excited and encouraged about that. E is for encouraged. So, just I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but I mean,
no, you got it.
End of the game here. a great effort. And this club keeps fighting for this fucking team and for the fans and for the coaching staff and for everything. And, it's been a rough season, but this could have imploded a long time ago and gotten really fucking ugly, and it hasn't. So we're still there. We might be, just knocking on the door, but we're there. We're right there.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to let this go ever. Fuck the Seattle ref. I forgot your name, but fuck
Drew
you, dude.
Fisher.
Drew Fisher, we should be in the playoff. We should be in the 9 seed right now.
Yeah.
Screw us.
I agree.
Hex upon your house.
Hey, just to piggyback on the Johan praise again.
Because we gave it to him earlier, like negatively.
Yeah. Well, I think as we should have, because he has until the last 4 matches. Again, I think he reverted back to a very average performance in my eyes on Saturday, but I think he backed it up again last night, like you said. Like he was sharp again on defense. Not trying to do too much offensively. Like there's a couple little bit of a weak touch to Alex, almost caused a turnover in the midfield early on in this one. Tried to play Emmy down that left side with a long ball, sails well out of bounds, things like that. But as long as he minimizes those and is the defensive stalwart in that half, that's when he's not just playable, but a guy that you want to have on the pitch, that you're excited to have out there. And again, man, if he can, and I was saying this last night as well, if he can bring some of that juice that we saw against LA Galaxy, where he's chirping guys after he takes the ball from him, get your ass up, that type, we need some of that bite. He can be playable Felipe in that way.
Exactly.
We need some of that attitude on the pitch. And so I would like to even see him do more of that when he's out there here to close out the year.
And I think that's probably a result of his confidence growing. Because, it's hard to chirp when you're playing shit, and
right.
And if he's, feeling good about himself and he's out there and he's putting dudes on their ass and telling them, come on, let's play, you're 100% right. This club needs it. It needs that little edge, and minimizing the mistakes that he had is the same concept that we've talked about with Alex Ring, where it's if you get a fucking goal out of him or an assist, then that's just cherry on top of the sundae. Yeah. So very encouraged with him as well. And, not Owen's best game either, but I still want to shout him out. We have asked this teenage child to do an assortment of things across the pitch in different positions. And, apparently he's not even playing his own natural position. So he's all over the place. And he keeps showing up similar to how Johnny has done for us. I know he doesn't have the stats that Johnny has gotten, but at the same time, when it's a utility guy and we got to move you around, he's shown up, brought his lunch pail, done his job.
Yeah, I agree. Jhojan Valencia did get man of the match in the stadium. Brad Stuver gets man of the match on FOTMob, and I think it's nice to split those because both guys had outstanding games. Stuver in particular, 8 shots seen, 8 shots saved in terms of those on target. And then I know that where's the communications account?
I also like to see that emotion out of Stuver, right? So we get that bad turnover from Owen in the first half. And Stuver is a guy, we know he's a nice dude. We know
started the second half.
Started the second half, yes. Yeah. We know he's a nice guy. We know he's got a giant heart. He's positive. He's encouraging to these dudes. But for him to show that little fire, because we've come out for the start of the second half fucking asleep, and it has cost us games. And we almost let them right back in the door here. And for Brad to get on Owen's ass and let him know that is completely unacceptable, sign me up for that. I need more of that.
Yeah, I love it. Jhojan Valencia, 9 possessions won. That was a game high. 5 duels won, and then 88% pass accuracy with 1 chance created. That was 44 out of 50 passes. So I was picking on him for some of those bad passes last night. It's all of the passes he didn't complete are the ones that stuck in my head. So I'm not being fair there. 46% Austin possession on the night. A lot of that DC possession came in the second half as Austin was sitting back, 19 shots to 13 in favor of DC United, and 8 shots on target to just 3 for Austin. So all 3 of Austin's shots on target hit the back of the net. That's efficiency.
Yeah, we'll take it. 0 big chances missed. We'll take it.
Yep.
That's how you win these games. All the other stats can be pretty as fuck.
Yep.
You finish, you're clinical when you're trying to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's how you win these fucking soccer games. And man, it feels good to get a win.
Yeah. 9 of 13 Austin shots came inside the box, 7 corners to 6 in favor of DC, 1.89 XG for Austin to 1.45 for DC United on FOTMOB's model. And as you mentioned, 2 big chances created, both of them converted. Austin still 4th in MLS in big chances created, now down to 6th in big chances missed.
There we go.
So trending the right way after one night. Talking a little bit about Josh in the press conference. I guess we can just say this about it overall. This is just my opinion on the whole thing, because if you haven't watched it, I would encourage you to go watch it. A lot of people were talking about this press conference last night. Josh Wolf being pretty curt, short, and concise in his answers, and not letting the mood get too high. After this one win, we need 2 more, and that starts, he's kind of like on to Saturday. I like to see that type of attitude. And then when it comes down to what is not just perceived as issues between he and some of the reporters in that room, it's very clearly issues, because he very clearly reads and is aware of some of the headlines written in some of these stories. Look, man, when you say bad things about anybody and come after their job for months publicly like that, you expect to share a laugh or good spirits with that person in the one. It's just not how it works, man.
No,
you get what you give there, and that's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and also there's nowhere in Josh's contract where it says you also have to be nice to the reporters.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, that's not part of the gig, man. He's trying to win fucking soccer games. So I also agree that everyone should go watch it and take from it what you will, in regard to how the people in that room are handling themselves.
Sure. A couple things from that presser, though, the actual substance that Josh did give us. He said, when I think about what the game has looked like against some of the opponents lately, and the start of this one, meaning last night, was no different than many of those games we've had recently. You have to take your chances and grab momentum and seize momentum. And then, like I said, he said Rodolfo is a great ear in that way. He's quite clear. He tells us much of what he's seen in this league with other teams, like with ours, is that those opportunities are there. If you don't get them, it gives the other team hope. There's quality on the other side. But when you take those opportunities, you can start to snatch the game in an instant, and then you got to bury the opponent, which I thought the guys did a good job of tonight. He also said Leo had heat exhaustion. Julio is fine. So again, I think the fact that he mentioned Rodolfo Borrell is something that I like to hear. So I would love to hear more of that, more like it, just at least just like, hey, Roto's in that room with us. He's there every day doing his job, etc. And yeah, again, and he's not wrong. Like, again, this game was, at the end of the day, results wise, right? We talk about G is the only thing that matters. A complete performance on the surface. But I think he's right that this game, and not all in a positive manner, was very similar to what we've seen over the last couple of months. We just got some of the bounces. Again, finish your chances. That is good. That's on the players. They deserve credit for that. But then we get a little bit of luck at the other end with some of the bounces, as we talked about. And again, it was far from a complete performance when you rewatch it and take into account everything that happened.
Yes.
But the result went our way last night. And again, I hope that the players in the locker room last night allowed themselves to enjoy it. It looked like they did in the player post-game interviews. And then, again, right back to work today, because less than 72 hours from now, the defending MLS Cup champs are coming to Q2.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, with the Roto situation, you got to be clinical with your finishing. And look no further than the record of this club when we get scored on first. And then look no further. Well, even if you have to look further after that, look to the point where we haven't lost a game when we're up at halftime. So all of that points to being clinical, especially in the beginning of these games. And look, man, if we're getting tips and advice and whatever we can from Roto, love it.
Yeah.
Good for everybody in the organization to be learning something from that man.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that's like the bare minimum that we would hope is going on. Like, I hope he has his hands on as much as possible at this point. even if he's Geppetto to Josh Wolf's Pinocchio, like,
right,
fine, good,
absolutely,
help this man too.
Yeah.
Anything else for you on last night? Again, I guess just for me, it was fucking awesome to win one. We certainly let ourselves, just walk straight out of the stadium. Smiles on our faces heading home, and it's nice to win one.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give the game an A as an overall team performance. I think it's a solid B+.
Sure.
And unfortunately, you bring a B+ game versus this LAFC club, you're probably not going to win. So absolutely thrilled for the guys to finally get that dub, to finally get that good feeling after just another battle. And now you got to put that behind you. It's already gone, and we are on to the next year.
Yeah, let's talk about LAFC coming up this Saturday. They, of course, participating in all kinds of external competitions this year. They've had a jam-packed schedule here. They played the Galaxy on September 16th, September 20th, traveled to St. Louis City, September 23rd, traveled to Philadelphia, September 27th, hosted Tigres in the Campeones Cup, October 1st, hosted Salt Lake, and then last night hosted Minnesota, which they won 5-1 on the back of another Denny Bouanga hat trick, as you mentioned earlier. Did us a favor with that result, really, beating Minnesota at home, but that was their first win in their last 5 competitions. So this is certainly an LAFC team that is not firing on all cylinders of late, but man, did they look good last night.
I mean, you know what they're capable of, even when they're not firing on all cylinders. Their roster is absolutely loaded. I'm looking at the table here, and they're right in the thick of it for this, 2 through almost even 6 spot at this point with these other clubs. Real Salt Lake with a game in hand, obviously a big win over LAFC last week. So I'm looking here and I'm trying to figure out how rotated they might be. And does it even really matter considering the people that they can rotate with?
I think it does.
To an extent, for sure. But it's going to be a tough match. Look, we've played them pretty well at home.
I mean, if we're looking back, right?
If we're looking back,
2021 lost both against them. Of course, first match in club history, the 2-0 loss out there in LA back in early 2021. But then it was, I believe, 2-1 Austin loss at home. And that game was, I think, 1-1 late on. I think it was a late LAFC goal that won them that one later on in that 2021 season. Last year, swept them, right? The nerve-wracking win up there to start the year. I think that was in April last year. And then, of course, the 4-1 win, which was one of the high points of our fandom to this point. But since then, man, in this matchup, 6-0 LAFC on aggregate because the 3-0 victory for LAFC in the Western Conference Final last year. And then they smashed us out there earlier this year behind another Denny Bouanga hat trick in that one. And that LAFC match this year, that was one of the games that if you were asking me, when has Josh Wolf been out coached? That is one of the first games that I would point to where there was a clear shift in the LAFC strategy, tactics, shape, what have you, about half an hour into that one. And that game turned on its head, and it was 3-0 LA pretty quickly after that. So, again, Austin, and we'll talk bets at the end of the podcast, of course, but out of all the home teams in MLS this weekend, Austin, the one with the worst odds, plus 155. We may be taking that a little bit later, but just illustrating that this obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, everybody knows that this is going to be a tough one. You talked about how they could possibly rotate. You look at over these last 3 matches, for LAFC. Again, those September 27th, October 1st, and then yesterday. So just in the last 8 days, these guys have played 3 matches. Bouanga played 90, 90, and 75. Ella played 77, 90, and 68. And again, we could go on down the line with all these guys and the minutes they've stacked up over the last week. Very glad that they got that win last night, not just to give Minnesota no points, but to maybe push Steve Cherundolo to rotate some of these guys, help us out a little bit on paper. So I guess, again, I don't think I'm going to spend any time trying to predict. We'll see what Dola runs out. But let's talk about us. Because, again, we still have some guys on the injury report. We had guys last night that were questionable that played, 10, and Driussi, and Maxi was available off the bench, although he ultimately didn't see the field. I guess, what do you think we may see on the injury report come Saturday morning? And what type of rotation, what type of changes do you think we see in the 11 with LAFC coming to town on Saturday?
Oh, man. I think we'll see some Seba injury report fuckery. I think he'll probably be questionable, but guarantee plays. I don't know if we're going to go back to Owen with the left back look. And man, to me, you got to shut down Bouanga as best you can. So for me, that you got to have Johan. You got to have Alex. You got to have somebody physical to put some pressure on this man. So I'm going to say that, look, I don't know, the trend might be that Owen is the new left back. Like, Lundqvist not on the fucking team last night is pretty eye-opening, unless he
was on the bench Saturday at Colorado, right?
Yeah. So, he was available. Mooch is getting up. So, look, I'm going to say we stick with it. I'm going to say we stick with it. We get Owen at left back again. The rotation at the midfield could be Danny back in there for Johan or Alex. Although, I'm okay with 2 of those 3 out there for the defensive presence. I think you got to start G again. And I'm really tempted to say I want Bruin to start, just due to what I talked about before, the kind of infectious energy that he has.
Start both of them?
No, to start Bruin at the 9 and then bring G off the bench.
Okay.
Just because it feels a little different chemistry-wise with him out there, like I said.
I don't disagree.
Does that necessarily mean that, Bruin's going to score against an LAFC loaded team in defense? I'm not sure. But I'm fine either way with that. Obviously, 10 out there. Rigoni has really turned it on. That's kind of gotten lost with the as Moochie's taking a little drink here.
He's getting after it over there.
He don't fuck around, bro. He drinks a gallon of water at a time. No more, no less. So I'll just wrap it up real quick and say Rigoni, just as much as Johan, has turned it on, has really been great these last couple of games, and he needs to be out there.
I don't disagree. But I also think Alex Ring has been integral to what this team has been doing, success or not, since he was able to be placed back into the midfield as we get healthier on that back line. I guess for me, again, just being the doofus that I am, I would say Johan would be to the bench in place of Danny for me in this one, because I think we're going to need that little bit more, we need a little bit more offensive zip and zest here, because I don't think we're going back-to-back clean sheets here with LAFC as the second leg, even if they're rotated. So, and then maybe you bring Johan on if you are able to get, an early lead of some sort. So it'll be interesting to see how they treat that with all 3 guys playing pretty, well right now.
Yep.
I don't know about Owen at left back, bro. I think Nick should be ready to go here. He got his rotation. So Nick's in, and on the right, I would assume. So I think then Johnny G's the one getting rest if Owen's still out there. If I would love if Johnny's ready to go, we can get him there at left back and bring Owen off the bench, because then maybe Owen is a guy that is coming on later in the game for, say Jhojan Valencia does get another start. Maybe then Owen's coming on if we're chasing the game late. And at striker, I would be fine seeing Will too.
Yep.
how are his old legs feeling after playing 30 against Colorado in the elevation and then 60 last night? I think I would be surprised if he starts again.
Yeah.
I would also be surprised if G is 90 minutes fit here. So I think it's a non-zero chance, man, that we see Maxey get the start. I'm not really sure what the team is going to do here, but I think it could be. We've said that before, though, and then he's gotten a start.
There's no way.
All right.
There's no way.
We'll see.
I'll walk out of the stadium.
You will?
No.
I was going to say, what?
Bro, we cannot start him. We can't.
I'm not saying I would be excited about it. I just think it's a non-zero chance that he's in the 11.
Look, man, this might be Will's last hurrah. Let him go out with a bang. Let him run the legs off.
That's what we did last night, though.
Off of his body before Maxey is out there. I can't do it.
I know. I know.
Name one person other than Amro Tarek who has been worse than him this year. Kip?
Yeah.
Okay. So two people who completely lost their mind and just became non-professional soccer players. We just talked about how important it is to score first. We got to get a goal early to have a chance here. And he does not do that for it. He's got one fucking goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
E is for enraged. Bro, come on, man.
Bro, he scored against LAFC last year. That's the only good thing I can say here.
What's the Ivan Drago line? If he dies, he dies. If he dies, he dies, baby. Let him go out there in a blaze of glory, out there on the pitch where he deserves to be.
Oh, God.
I don't know, man. I was looking back.
Maxey is the guy I would like to see the least of the three. I just don't think it's crazy to say he might be the starter. Again, he was also on the injury report yesterday, though, so.
Start Rigoni at the 9 then. Start Rigoni at the 9. Start fucking Memo. Whatever. Put Owen up at wing. I don't know. I can't see that out there. I really just can't.
That's fair. That's fair.
I was looking back to the last game that we had versus them in April and what formation we were in. And as you had hinted to before, you really felt like this is one of the games that stands out for you in regard to Wolf, being outclassed. And that fucking happens to every coach.
Sure.
Throughout the course of a fucking season. But looking back at it, it looked like we were in that 4-2. What was it? We had Komanich was still playing. 4-2-3-1 basically with Aruti at the top. So what would you like? What did you see from that game where you're like, all right, he got completely outcoached. This is where we need to pivot.
Well, with that one, and let me pull that one back up. I guess the first thing I would say is, always exercise caution when looking at formations put out by any outlet at this point. If I recall correctly, let me pull up the momentum chart here. Yeah, you can see the clear right in that 30th minute. And I believe Cherundolo said after the game, he said, we made some adjustments half an hour in, and they worked.
Yep.
And you see the momentum goes completely. And I guess I can, for those who are watching on the YouTube channel, we can just go ahead and share that momentum chart there. I mean, you see it, right? This is
just
minute 30 right there. And then hardly any green on that chart the rest of the way.
So something was working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something was working there, and they made an adjustment.
It was identifiable to how that, it seemed like they easily just kind of adjusted and took us completely out of this one. Again, I would have to go back and watch to actually figure out what that was. But I remember that vividly, listening to Dolo say that after the game. And then when we rewatched it for the pod, being like, yeah, he's pretty much spot on there. That is where the game changed.
That's where the shit game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
got so many good players.
I know. It's still in third place in the West.
Hollingshead off the bench, Ilya Sanchez, Carlos Vela off the bench.
Yep, in that one.
Yeah, in that one.
Well, we may see something like that on Saturday, but only one thing left to do here, E. I know this is not the time you were predicting an Austin FC season-ending draw or loss. So, how much are the Verde and Black winning by on Saturday night?
I mean, that'd be crazy. We're on a win streak to predict a loss here. Oh, shit. 3-2.
Oh, barn burner at the Q.
like you said, we're not going to keep him out of the net.
Yeah.
It's damn near impossible. So 3-2. I hope we get a little rotation from Steve. He seems to have a personal vendetta against Josh for some reason. But
You think?
I don't know.
Aren't they old teammates?
Yeah, maybe he didn't like him.
Damn. Well, that's certainly not out of the realm of possibility.
maybe he kicked his girlfriend.
Oh my God, dude. Okay. I'm going to say 2-1. Look, I got hopes for this game, and I guess that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
We're hoping. We're enticed.
Yeah.
3-2 for E. 2-1 for me. 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. LAFC coming back to the Q. Hope to see all of you there. Let's jump into some last business day. Before we do, though, just little tidbits of Austin FC news here. Both Brad Stuver and Sebastian Driussi named to the MLS Team of the Week. Stuver starting in net there, Seba off that bench. So congrats to those guys. And then MLS released the list of nominees for the season-long awards, which is an interesting process. It appears that it's just the teams themselves that nominate guys from their own team. I know that is how it can work, in the college ranks as well in various conferences. But interesting to me that Austin, when you go through these lists, and you know what? We're just going to pull this up and we're going to talk about it because I know you haven't seen this list yet. This is the nominee list for all the various awards. And kind of just burying the lead here. Owen Wolf nominated for Young Player of the Year. So congrats to him for that. And then Brad Stuver nominated for, what is the actual name of it here? The Audi Goals Drive Progress Impact Award.
Wow.
For Brad Stuver there. So congrats to those guys on their nominations, whether they came from our own team or not. And if that is the case, I think it's interesting here, not just to go through and make fun of some teams who nominated sometimes multiple players or players that just like, let's be realistic here. Like Artur being nominated by Houston for MLS MVP is it's silly.
What the fuck are you doing?
But Austin not nominating anybody else on the team. So, not putting Seba up for MVP, not even putting Stuver up for goalkeeper of the year, no defender of the year nominees, newcomers, etc. I'm not saying, I think this is maybe a little bit of self-awareness here by the club, not putting those guys up for those awards. But it's interesting to see that is very much against the grain when you look at some of these lists, like newcomer of the year. There's plenty of names on here. Mascara for Cincinnati, Leuven for St. Louis. But then you get to like Sam Sturridge, who has played minimal minutes for Nashville since coming in the summer. You get Dagger Dan Thorhalson, who we have not mentioned since the offseason.
Yeah.
The guy barely doesn't even play a ton for Orlando. I just don't get what we're doing here. And then Leo Messi nominated for almost every award possible here. So again, my issues with this process aside, congrats to Owen and Brad on their nominations. Because you look at the young player list here, Brad may win his Impact Award and probably deserves it.
Yeah.
But you look at this young player list with guys like Cade Cowell and Noah Buck and Mateusz Bogusz and Andres Gomez and Aziel Jackson and Diego Luna. This is a loaded list of young players. So again, John Tolkien, Obed Vargas, Jalen Neal. Good luck to Owen. Congrats on the nomination. I don't think we're going to see his name come out at the awards announcement.
No. And I'm totally fine with what the club did here. We don't have any dudes who should be winning any postseason awards. Outside of Brad and his contributions to the community for what I'm assuming is a charity kind of community effort award, the Audi Gold Drive backwards powertrain all-wheel drive Impact Man of the season.
Well, let's jump into another playoff edition of last business day here. Austin FC 2 did get their opponent. They will travel to the Pacific Northwest to take on the Tacoma Defiance after 1 seed Colorado chose San Jose to. So San Jose going to the Rockies, Austin FC up to the Pacific Northwest. And again, just a refresher on Tacoma, 2nd seed in the West this year. I think in both of our eyes, very clearly the second best team in this conference throughout the season. Just, from that eye test, Rodilio Rodriguez still leading this team in goals and contributions, 15 goals and tacked on 4 more assists. So he was right up there in the Golden Boot conversation to close the year. Didn't end up in that 3-way tie up top, but very dangerous attacker there. They've got some names like Paul Rothrock, Reed Baker-Whiting, Abdoulaye Sissoko, these first team type of guys that we are very familiar with. We may not see all of these guys. And Reed Baker-Whiting has been with the first team for a while. He's only made 8 appearances for Tacoma this season. So we will take, all we can get in terms of Tacoma maybe not having their full complement of players available here this season. Just looking at the FOTMob model in terms of their rating, of course, unsurprisingly, Rodriguez, Sissoko, Rothrock, the top 3 in terms of that FOTMob rating model. They had a very, very
spicy,
high intensity, spicy quarterfinal matchup against Dynamo 2. Again, the Dynamo team that Tacoma selected first in that selection process. And I believe that was the chalk pick. I think Houston was the lowest seed out of the 7 in the West, but shootout there in Tacoma, and not a penalty shootout, 4-3 in regulation. Tacoma got off to a 3-0 start in the first 20 minutes of that one. Houston pulled one back before halftime, and then Tacoma extended their lead to 3 once again in the 53rd. Goals in the 79th and 81st from Houston made it interesting in the last 10 minutes or so, but ultimately Tacoma advancing and then ending up with this matchup against Austin. So let's talk about us heading into this one. Late night traveling, out there on Sunday. I assume with Austin playing on Saturday night and 24 hours between the first team and the second team game, you'll see Damian Loss on the bench and then probably flying out there day of to rejoin FCTO. What we saw last week was a strong lineup, a lineup that got a little bit of that freshly squeezed juice from David Rodriguez to open the scoring there. AOC drawing another pen, etc. What do you see? What do you think we see lineup wise? Because for me, just looking back on what we started last week, I believe Micah Burton is now gone with the U17s. A couple tune-up matches before that U17 World Cup next month. I think everybody else here should be available. So I'm not surprised to see Val Noel slot back into the middle there, playing kind of that 10 role, and seeing somebody like EJ, somebody like Cristo Vela coming in and filling in on the wing. Any thoughts for you there? I mean, if we lose on Saturday or draw with the first team, do you maybe see CJ hop on that flight with Damian and go up there and play on the wing? I don't know. I don't think that happens regardless. But what are your thoughts here heading into Sunday night?
Look, I love the lineup for the last matchup for Sporting. Like you said, Micah not going to be available, but we can adjust to that. It's not EJ for me. I have, I'm a EJ fan. I'm a supporter. I've been looking for him to step up, and I think he had a really bad game the other day. And with the amount of guys that we have that we can rotate onto those wings positions or in the midfield, I think that it's his time to be put back down on the bench, and hopefully he can make an impact off the bench. So for me, yes, you slide Val to the middle, David on either side, left or right, and then you can get creative with who you want to put on that wing. For me, it's probably Vela. I think that you saw a lineup that was locked in, that was motivated versus this SKC team. I think obviously getting picked by them, gave us a little extra oomph, some freshly squeezed juice, as you so eloquently put it. So I would say that, yes, we're going to see a very similar lineup, maybe AOC for Pignot, but either way, I'm fine with it. It's going to be a good game. I would be shocked if Reed Baker Whiting is available, and I really hope he's not because he's
good.
really good.
Yeah.
Like, he's not just like good. He's like really fucking good.
Reed Baker Whiting is 0-1 at the pitch, but 2-0 at Q2 Stadium.
I'm pretty sure he's been linked to the Wolves for Wolverhampton.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Not surprised there.
If that's Sam Pilly intel right there. So I'd be shocked if he's available, which is great for us. But you still got to worry about Sissoko, who's quite a presence. But again, if this team, if they come out the way that they came out versus SKC, I am confident that we are going to win this game.
I agree. And this is a Tacoma team. Even though we split the season series, of course, 2-1 victory for Austin earlier in the season at home.
What a fun game.
Victory for Tacoma on the road, or Austin on the road there in the middle of the regular season. Tacoma, this is a team that has not scored against Austin in open play. Both of their goals coming from the penalty spot. So Austin has done well enough to handle this team defensively. But again, Austin's only 2 goals against Tacoma in turn came when Tacoma was down a man in that first match. So I think this one could be an absolute just grind of a game. Not pretty on either side. And keep in mind, we do not go straight to a shootout after 90 minutes of tied soccer here. You get that 30 extra minutes of extra time if we are tied after the full 90. So I guess just one thing left to do, unless you have anything else to add. How much is Austin FC 2 winning by on Sunday and in turn advancing to the Western Conference Final?
I got him 1-0. Damian Loss, man of the match.
I like it. I'm going to say 0-0 all the way for the full 120. Damian victorious, and the team victorious, of course, in the penalty shootout, but both of us certainly leaning on the MLS Next Pro goalkeeper of the year. And as always, boys, we don't care how you get it done. Get the win, survive, and advance. 9 p.m. Sunday night. So that'll be a late one. That'll be a ZG&E record the pod, watch the game, and come back later to recap. That is going to be a late one for the North End boys. So
who's the Sunday night football game too?
It's a good one, isn't it? Isn't it Chiefs and whoever they play? Chiefs, Vikings, maybe. Yeah. It's better than whatever last week was, I think. And it's certainly better than the Monday night football game that we had units on this past week. Let's jump into the nonsense to close out episode 96. A little best ball update. Not great, E. Not great for the North End podcast here because the low score on the week, just 28 points with DNPs from Roman Berkey, Kai Wagner, Ricky Pooch, buys for Evander and Chicho Arango, and then the postponement of the Dallas match. So we did not get anything out of Jesus Ferreira either, just 28 points for the North End podcast. Texas Ring of Fire came back down to earth a little bit, just 34 points for those boys. We are Austin TV, second on the week with 39 behind 12 from Seba, 9 from Joseph Martinez there in Miami. But the bad news for us and the good news for the Moon Tower soccer faithful out there, 65 points for Moon Tower, 22 for Denny Buwanga, 13 for Daniel Gazdag, 11 for Brad Stuver and his clean sheet, and 10 for good measure from Julian Carranza. So that's 65 points, and the North End's 28, means for the second week in a row, we have movement in the standings. Not at the bottom this time, at the top. Moon Tower Soccer, with 2 scoring periods remaining, have reclaimed the top spot. 1477 on the year. North End Podcast, 1470. So with 2 scoring periods remaining, just 7 points separating the top 2 teams. And now with We Are Austin picking up 5 points. Just 5 points separating We Are Austin at the bottom from Texas Ring of Fire. 1339 for Texas Ring of Fire, 1334 for We Are Austin TV. So a significant gap between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but we've got battles at both ends of the standings there. So I don't think it could have gone better for the league. And I got my fingers crossed that our boys are going to get a little healthy here and get it done for us, because it's coming down to it now. That we said that lead could go away like that, and it sure did.
Everything's going to come down to decision day. It's going to be great for the inaugural season of the first ever MLS Best Ball fantasy league in human history.
Yeah.
It's a fact. That's a fact. So, yeah, that's exciting. I can't believe we just fucking scored 28 points, though.
I know.
That's not exciting.
It was a brutal week or midweek for us. Hopefully the team picks it back up on Saturday. Let's close it out with the bets here. Week 37. Not bad, E. We'll take it and we'll move on to the weekend here. Montreal plus 140 did not come through. Dallas minus 155. That was a 2-unit hammer at home. No bet there. That was postponed. Did hit on Orlando plus 270, getting the road win at Nashville. Nice call by you. And nice call by you overruling my bet on DC to win or draw. So Austin minus 105 does come through. And then the NFL Monday night special. We're done with the Giants, right?
We are done with the Giants. We cannot.
Just awful, man. They're so bad.
It's awful to watch.
They gave up 10 sacks.
It is awful to watch. There's no point. It sucks that all these major market teams fucking blow. Chicago, terrible.
Yeah.
Giants, terrible. Jets, bad.
Yeah.
And then LA, Rams, okay. Chargers, fucking every game they play is an away game. They suck.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Cowboys are good.
Yeah.
But
Just terrible.
Just hinting, there's some special NFL picks coming up this episode here.
All right. Well, let's get into it. That was a plus 1.65 units on the weekend, and that gets us under that negative 30 threshold, negative 29.81 units on the year. So let's move in to the week 38 picks. I'll get us started here. I'm going to go on the road here. Again, we are looking at the playoff scenario, not just for Austin FC here, but around the league. DC United playing their final match of the year. They are the odd team out on decision day in 2019. Somebody has to have a bye in 2 weeks. DC is that team. So DC at home hosting NYCFC. NYCFC undefeated in their last 5. They have made a little bit of a jump up the standings. They are sitting, I believe, currently in 8th in the East. And I'm going to take NYCFC to win here on the road at plus 195. So we're going to lock that in to start off our week 38 picks.
Sounds good. I'm going to the Q, baby. Austin plus 155 versus LAFC. As you said, the largest home dog on the board, and we'll take it. We like it that way.
Yeah, give us those units, boys. I will go back to the East here. Chicago also sitting in a playoff position currently. They are hosting Charlotte. Who Charlotte not completely eliminated yet, but need a lot to go right. Getting Chicago here at home at even odds, so I will take Chicago to get a win here and remain in playoff position or wild card position, and pass it back to you.
I'm going to go a little narrative here. Take Seattle even odds versus Vancouver.
All right, Seattle even odds. I like it. We need that narrative to come through here, right? I guess it doesn't matter so much with Vancouver already above us in terms of the total number of points. They're sitting on 46. We can only achieve 44. We move on. RSL here. This is a little bit of a narrative for us. RSL hosting Sporting KC. Sporting KC been a little beat up lately, getting healthier, but on the road in the elevation here. I'm going to say RSL minus 115 gets it done at home against Sporting KC and buries Sporting KC, never to be seen again in 2023.
Let's go, baby. Get them out of here. Same situation here with my next bet. Dallas minus 120 at home hosting the Earthquakes. Get San Jose out of here. Dallas winning that game. It's okay. They got a game in hand on us. So not really trying to chase them, just trying to keep other people off our back. And you win that game versus LAFC, baby. You're right there.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing is that I think we'll take almost any of the results in that San Jose Dallas match. Nothing's going to eliminate us there. But I think the easiest path to the playoffs here is letting Dallas go, or not playoffs, wild card. I really don't think we're going to reach the 7 seed, even if we win the last 2. If Dallas can beat San Jose and we win on Saturday against LAFC, it sets up a very simple scenario. You beat San Jose, you're in. So let's not make it more complicated. Get your work done, Dallas, and we'll take the units as well. So look, The ZG NFL specials, I think 2 or 3 in a row after the hot start, have failed. So I'm on probation this week.
Ooh.
And E, are you coming out from behind the paywall with an NFL pick here?
That's right, baby. We won last night, so the people shall be rewarded. All right, y'all. We got a 6-team, 6-point teaser. You're going to give me that plus 600. So what that means is the line moves 6 points in your favor when you're making the bets. All right. Going to take the Colts plus 8.5 hosting Tennessee. I like the Colts. Detroit -4 hosting Carolina. Kansas City, Minnesota, tease that over under down to 46.5. Take the over. The Jets plus 8.5 in Denver. Denver's not good. That Jets defense is. They're going to be pissed after that last game. I like it. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, tease that over under up to 44. Take the under. Washington hosting Chicago tonight. You get them at plus 0.5. Lock it in.
And all of that plus 600. So
6-point teaser. Yes. 6-point teaser, 6 teams, plus 600, the vaunted 666.
Oh, boy. He giving out the free NFL picks. I love it. We'll see. And just look, just because I'm on probation for NFL, I'm going to pivot here. We're going to do another special. This is your MLS Next Pro Playoff special. Ooh. We don't have odds on this game yet, but they will be posted over the weekend. So I'm taking Austin FC 2 at Tacoma. No odds yet. Don't even tell me the odds. I'm taking our boys, getting the win this Sunday. Let's fucking go, FC, though.
Let's fucking go, baby. What do you think will come in at? Plus 180?
Might be more. Might be a little more than that. I wouldn't be surprised to see plus 200.
2-1? Yeah.
Yeah. Tacoma's good, man, and they're at home.
Yeah, of course.
So the week 38 picks here on the MLS side of things. He's got Austin plus 155 hosting LAFC, Seattle even odds hosting Vancouver, and Dallas minus 120 hosting the Quakes. I've got NYCFC plus 195 at the Fighting Runes, Chicago hosting Charlotte at even odds, RSL hosting SKC at minus 115, then E's NFL special, the 6-way 6-point teaser, Colts, Lions, Chiefs in Minnesota over, the Jets, Baltimore and Pittsburgh under, and the Commanders 6-point teaser plus 600. Then the MLS Next Pro Playoff Special, Austin FC 2 to beat Tacoma on the road with no odds yet. Those are the week 38 betting picks, and that will wrap up episode 96 of the North End Podcast. 96, not a bad year, E. 1996. If you've got 5 extra seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to that, Tim Duncan was drafted, E. If you've got 5 extra seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you've got a buddy who likes Austin FC and likes podcasts, recommend the North End Podcast to your friends. Get us in everybody's content rotation. We would greatly appreciate any and all of that you do for us. And of course, if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Help us grow the podcast. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up, like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the hope of the North End. We will be back on Sunday recapping Austin FC's big matchup, win or go home against LAFC, recapping Austin FC 2's win or go home Western Conference semifinal matchup against the Tacoma Defiance, talking the nonsense and everything else in between. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We will see you at Q2 on Saturday and back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.